Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Around the Blockchain here on BitBoy Crypto. This is one of the best shows that you'll ever find on YouTube. I can guarantee you that. We've got a fantastic lineup of guests. Oh, yeah, I'm not DZ, by the way. DZ had a little incident, but he will be back soon. I am Justin J. Chains Esquire III. My mother calls me Justin. In the crypto world, I go by J Chains. Guys, we got a great show for you. If this is your first time tuning into Around the Blockchain, everybody's got a little score down in the bottom corner of their bucket. If you are in the live chat, hit a +1 if you like what they're saying, and we will give them some points. Whoever's got the most points at the end of the show will leave us with a little bit of a parting words. Before we get started, I just have to say, BitBoy Bombers, 6-2 in the regular season. Playoffs start tonight, 6:30. Let's go. Ben, are you hitting a home run?
Yeah, most definitely. I'm going yard tonight for sure.
I love it. I love it. We've been practicing all season for this. Very excited. All right. What are we going to be talking about today? We are talking about 250,000 Bitcoin bought since the Luna OpenSea indictments going on. And we'll end it with a little Apple NFT question mark. Very excited. All right, guys, before we get into the show, let's hop into some market watch because, we got to check the markets. Things are not looking as pretty as we'd like them to today. Let me just refresh to make sure I've got the most recent update information. Bitcoin coming in at 29,648, down 6.6% on the day. Ethereum coming in at 1791, down almost 8% on the day. We got BNB holding just under $300, down 6% today. Seems to be a common theme here. Got a couple down pretty heavy. We got double digit, almost 11% on Solana. I know that the blockchain I think went down for a while today, which is never good, especially if you're a
surprise
guy just like me. Let's see. Let's look at just a couple winners on the day, just to give a little positivity. Waves, Tron, that's a name you haven't thought of in a while. Monero. USD coin. Love it. Holding strong at $1. Love to see that happen. All right. Let's get into our first topic for the today because we got to get rolling. Play some softball here. 250,000 Bitcoin bought by long-term holders since the Luna crash. Now, according to the latest tweet by on-chain data company Into the Block, the BTC balance of addresses that have been holding Bitcoin for more than a year has reached a new all-time high with 12.73 million Bitcoin holdings, quite a bit there. According to the latest tweet, the team stated that since May 7th, the owners of these wallets have acquired an astounding 250,000 Bitcoin. We'd love to hear that. Diamond Hands holding strong. On May 7th, also coincides with the dumped around $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin by the Ludegard Foundation. All right, first question coming to you, Altcoin Daily. Austin, as you referred to.
Thank you for having me, Justin. I noticed you go straight to Market Watch, plug the baseball team, but don't introduce the panel. I just want to say, Infinite Crypto, mind your business. Ben, obviously, great to be here. Justin, awesome to have you host, man.
I did say that we had a great panel today. I did say that, but I didn't introduce you. Guys, also, down in the description are links to these folks' channels. Make sure that you subscribe and just check out what they're doing because these guys work hard every single day bringing you the crypto content that you crave. All right, Austin. Bitcoin got a nice little pump and then sort of fizzled out. Is this what you were expecting, or is there something that we're not seeing?
I think after 9 straight weeks to the downside, Bitcoin making records to the downside, unfortunately, yes, everybody was expecting to bounce. If not now, after 11, if not 9, at 7, a bounce was inevitable. Now, the news of all those people buying Bitcoin, 200 Luna Foundation Guard sold all their Bitcoin, over 80,000. All that got bought up, even more getting accumulated by long-term hodlers. I would say, generally speaking, for every seller, there's a buyer. And yes, they sold, so somebody bought. I think the bigger news, at least in my mind, is all these different investors have a new cost basis. They have a new mindset. They have a new strategy. And all those potential weak hands that got out, that got in 2021, whenever that was, maybe buying the hype, maybe not understanding, this market has downs just as much as ups. A lot of those weak hands got out and were replaced by presumably longer term mindset investors, or at least investors buying today in 2022 that understand, man, I could have to hold this for a long time, but that's what I'm in it for. So I'm excited.
Absolutely, man. I love to hear that, and we love to see the diamond hands holding strong. I think that's what makes the whole ecosystem go round at this point. One thing that also came out, Ben, I'm going to come to you on the next question, but the Bureau of Labor Statistics released a jobs opening and labor turnover survey today, and the March data released in early May showed that a record high of 11.5 million job openings were on a seasonally adjusted basis. This was showing that businesses, they are eager to hire, but with that, they've got to pay higher wages, which then forces them to lift prices, which further attributes to inflation. With that, the market's traded lower today off a job openings report, like I said. Now, do you think that this is going to be a trend that we continue to see?
Yeah. What was the number again?
It was 11.5 million job openings.
Okay. So yeah, no, we're going to see this shrink over time. That's what we're going to see, because it is the cost of goods is actually going to be going down. Okay, because inflation means that the dollar is worth less. Well, now that we're starting to swing the other direction, the dollar is going to be worth more, meaning the places are going to have to start adjusting their prices in the opposite direction after maybe a quarter of trying to build back in profits from inflation. So what we're actually going to see is we're actually going to see this jobs market get really tight. You're going to start seeing a lot of layoffs. I know that sounds like counter to what the market is telling us right now, but that's exactly what we told you last year was going to happen as we move to deflationary time. Goods cost less. Businesses are bringing in less money. Therefore, they don't have as much money to pay staff. So I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see the job market really flip. And a lot of people are not going to expect it. It's going to take a lot of people by surprise.
Absolutely. But with that, like you said, there'll be some good and some bad that comes out of it. All right, Brad. Next question come to you. Now that such big events have passed, and again, we spoke about the Terra crash, and you got the rate hikes, etc. What are you expecting in the short to midterm?
Oh man, I got to pull out my crystal ball for this one.
There we go. It's
Man,
all speculation.
I try to stay prepared for both. I mean, right now we've been kind of trading in this channel between 28 and 32. It feels like it's been forever. And if you listen to the experts, half of them tell you that it's going to be breaking up and headed for 37. Half of them tell you that it's going to be headed down into the low 20s. And I really think that we're still in for some more pain. My own personal opinion is that we're probably going to see Bitcoin lower in the near future, or in the not too distant future. That doesn't mean that we can't see a swing to the upside first, but I'm definitely keeping some dry powder on the sidelines and really kind of hoping that I get an opportunity to buy some $25,000, $20,000 Bitcoin. And then I've got a handful of altcoins picked out that if they get slaughtered with a Bitcoin going down to 20,000, that I'm, waiting to pick up myself too. So I'll be happy either way. And I just think it's important to stay prepared no matter which way it decides to go.
Oh, 100% there. Thank you, Brad. To kind of piggyback off that, Seth, question for you now. Again, the 250 million Bitcoin were added to the long-term holder bag since the Terra fiasco. Are you DCAing in at this time, or are you sitting on the sidelines waiting for a better entry?
So first off, great to be back on the show, and I appreciate you asking me my opinion on any of this stuff, like without offering any kind of financial advice. I've been talking about to my audience that this is a range that I'd be comfortable DCAing for a while. I've got it's a very broad range too. When you look at sort of the historical performance of Bitcoin and how basically year over year, it's printed about 200% profits for anybody who's been a long-term hodler. It's fairly de-risked at this point when you look at Bitcoin like in a very, very zoomed out fashion. Anybody who told you, for example, like, oh, you got wrecked because you bought, $20,000 Bitcoin in 2017, clearly they're fine. Like, obviously, the numbers don't lie. The price performance has been good enough for Bitcoin that those people are doing okay. And on average, it's done about 200% year over year. So yeah, DCAing right now, I don't see a problem with that. DCAing, as it has a downward trend. Yeah, but just like how Brad was mentioning before, keeping some dry powder for a good value buy here and there, especially if we potentially see a newer, like lower 20s or below $20,000 Bitcoin, which I still believe very, very strongly that we could see that below $20,000 Bitcoin price. No one has been able to tell me to my satisfaction a good reason that we can't see Bitcoin below $20,000. And I still think that there are interested parties in pushing price down, and then a couple other projects that may that are just interesting that are going to be launching during that time that can perform a bit of a liquidity vampire attack against the fresh capital that would go into Bitcoin. So yeah, DCA, not a bad plan. Just setting some dry powder aside for some value buys between now and whatever we see the bottom as in the near future. Also not a bad plan. And then, I mean, Bitcoin, it's also worth mentioning, is no longer the young spring chicken that it was before, right? Like, it's not being courted by the elderly gentleman because of how like radically awesome the gains are. You're not going to see a 10x in Bitcoin in a 3-month period anytime soon. And if you do, like, there's some kind of like life-altering event that's a much bigger problem than the price of Bitcoin happening if we see that. So yeah, I think it's an unsexy, boring, like slow climb up if you dollar cost average into Bitcoin, but it's very de-risked and it's very, very hard currency. So you don't buy Bitcoin to get rich overnight. But yeah, DCA, sure.
Absolutely. And I love that answer. And, it's funny when you think about it, and for most of us on this panel, I think, we survived the crash of 1718. So it's like, this is not our first rodeo, right? I remember I was devastated when that happened. But now, like you said, Seth, I'm actually looking forward to some cheaper Bitcoin because it's a cyclical market. It's going back up. This is just a buying opportunity. So start DCAing in, and maybe in a year, whenever things come back, you're going to be in a better position than you are right now. So let's go. All right, let's move on to our next topic of today. And this is all about the insider trading scandal that happened over at OpenSea. Now, the Southern District of New York has charged the former head of product at NFT platform OpenSea, or Broken Sea, as I like to call them, with wire fraud and money laundering charges after the insider trading scandal. Nathaniel Chastain was arrested Wednesday morning in New York, where he was slated for presentation to the U.S. District Court, according to press release from the DOJ. Ben, Martha Stewart went to prison for something very similar for inside trading. Now, is Mr. Chastain in a lot of trouble, or do you think this is a good thing for OpenSea? You're muted.
What? Am I muted? A good thing for OpenSea? No, it's certainly not a good thing for OpenSea. I think this is just tip of the iceberg of what they've been doing internally. There is a lot of evidence that it went beyond Nate Chastain. He was a scapegoat. OpenSea should be trembling right now. Why? Well, you don't think this guy's going to flip in a second and give them the real information about all the stuff that OpenSea has been doing to try to get himself immunity and keep himself from going to prison? This guy's going to say whatever it takes to try to get the lowest sentence possible. We covered this story when it happened. We've been telling you that, there's a lot of bad actors in this space that are doing insider trading. And what's really interesting to me about this, I mean, obviously, I love when OpenSea looks like a bunch of idiots, because they are a bunch of idiot scammers. And that's why we will be taking them down. But the point here is this goes beyond just OpenSea here. This is actually quite interesting, because this is the first time that we have seen anyone in the crypto space charged with insider trading. Really, for there to be insider trading, there needs to be some precedent of legality saying that, hey, this is illegal. These are the rules you are and are not allowed to do. And I just keep harping on this. This is where the SEC, the CFTC, all the regulating bodies in the United States, they have fallen short. They're too focused on trying to get people in trouble, and because it makes them look good, they're not focused enough on actually providing the legal framework and the regulation that people need to know to understand what they can and cannot do. Obviously, this is a little bit different, because this is not insider trading from a crypto perspective. This is insider trading from a business NFT perspective. So I'm sure they're going to go after them under more traditional insider trading laws, like basically taking advantage of insider information in a business to make money. This is not involving, price pumps and dumps and all that stuff that are rampant across the crypto market that, people will eventually probably get in trouble for. It's very hard to say, though, because once again, there's not the legal framework for crypto there is for other assets. So how can you technically insider trade in an unregulated market? Well, you can insider trade from a legal perspective, I believe, with just information from inside of a business. So like I said, I think that's what they're going to go after him under. But OpenSea right now, I guarantee you, they are doing damage control. They're terrified because not only is Nate Chastain in trouble, OpenSea wiped their hands of him. They wiped their hands of him. They made him the scapegoat. They said he was the villain. Nobody else was involved. And he's going to come gushing with information. So this could be the beginning of bringing down OpenSea totally. I'm excited about it. Never been more excited.
I don't think people disagree with you there. You know, and the whole fact that he is the scapegoat. I mean, that right there, the company's way too big to have one bad actor causing all of this.
Absolutely.
So it's
I disagree, Justin.
Oh,
I
hey.
disagree.
Austin, let's hear what you got to say, because my question would be next to you. So you can say what you got to say, and then I want to follow it up with something with similar to what Ben said.
Here's the thing. I like OpenSea as much as I like a Coinbase NFT, as much as I like a Coinbase or any centralized entity that doesn't claim to be decentralized. And I don't think an indictment of one bad actor that until proven otherwise, I believe in innocent until proven guilty, until proven otherwise, I don't think if one of the BitBoy editors came out insider trading, that would be an indictment on the whole BitBoy YouTube channel. If they took care of it, it was a one-time offense. Now, if more comes out, then I'll change my opinion. I think the only other thing, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, that you could say that OpenSea did bad, which I do disagree with, and I think is garbage, that they don't verify, quality. They didn't verify Pluto Alliance.
Well, no, not only they did verify it and then removed it for no reason.
I think that's garbage. I dislike that, but everything else, I think this is good. Essentially, OpenSea, remove the cancer from inside of them, and we'll see how it goes from here. But good on OpenSea.
I mean, obviously good on them for getting rid of the guy, but if he starts singing, man, I'm sure there'll be some more names.
It's not like they had a choice to get rid of him. I mean, it's not like they said like, oh, you know what? I think we're going to make the decision because he's cancer. I mean, the story had already broken. The story broke before they got rid of him. So I think that's a really important thing to understand here is OpenSea from an internal perspective didn't make this happen. The story broke because I believe people on Twitter were the ones that actually found his addresses and discovered this was happening. So, that's a little fishy too, that, the people running it didn't even know at all that this was going on, and it got exposed on Twitter, and then they had to act from a corporate perspective and let him go. And I mean, there's been a lot of other things with OpenSea. I mean, this is not their first rodeo when it comes to being controversial or things like this. We also know that when it comes to NFTs that they removed off of their site, they had a system of removing NFTs that their employees did not own. If you go back and look at many of the ones that they took off the site, no ownership for the for people, the CEO, for the members of the team, but yet other NFTs that match the exact same qualifications in which they removed those NFTs under, but were in their wallet, they kept on the site. So I do believe there's a lot more smoke than just one thing here. And of course, you go to the many exploits that have happened there, the unapologetic lack of customer service. They've gotten fat and lazy is what it's boiled down to. So, and also nefarious. So I would disagree. I think there is quite a bit more. If we go through the articles and look at plenty of other stuff that they've done, you'll see this is not the first time something like this happened. Now, this is probably the most serious and the most damning and the most evidence the literal wrongdoing had taken place. But, I've got plenty of other evidence to suggest that, that there's more smoke here.
Thank you, Ben, for the insight there. All right, Austin. So getting back to the question I wanted to ask you, and Ben, talking about how, this might bring about some regulation, or we need some regulatory framework in a lot of the stuff that we're doing. Do you think that the actions like this will have any effect on the big picture of scams in the NFT Web 3.0 blockchain space? How are rules like this going to be enforced outside of the U.S. as well?
I think this is going to have huge implications. I think the SEC and the regulators are waiting and watching, and in a sense, wanting scams like this to get uncovered only because this gives credence to what they're already thinking is involved in the crypto world. So I think because of this, they're going to be forced to have full analytic searches, make all information that they collect off their users. I think if you're using a regulated exchange, which I believe NFT will have, OpenSea will have to be sometime, I think this is going to have huge implications, which is why I'm excited for other competing products out there to take some share from OpenSea, which they've been trying thus far, so we can just have, work out the competition in the crypto space alone as these regulators watch.
I love it. Well, hey, I love seeing competition. I mean, obviously you got Looks Rare. I don't think they do as good of a job, but there will be some other platforms, wink, wink, coming soon that should hopefully do some damage.
What's it called? What's your platform going to be called, Ben?
You're muted.
Platform. We're not ready to announce it yet. But we are working very diligent. This is going to be big. This is not like some rinky-dink website. I mean, we're putting a lot of money, high-level developers on this, and we can tell you this: we're coming to play ball.
I look forward to switching. If it's better, I look forward to supporting Ben Armstrong, or BitBoy Crypto, OpenSea competitor.
Let's go. All right, Brad V. Next question to you,
Yes,
sir. Do you think OpenSea is going to have any criminal or financial implications from this? The organization OpenSea, not individuals.
You know, that's really, really hard to say because in the wild, wild west of crypto, we've never really seen any criminal charges brought against, an entity yet. We've never seen huge fines, really levied, especially in an NFT platform, which is, I mean, even with cryptocurrencies, which kind of follow along the lines of some traditional markets in a sense, like you can, basically you can kind of compare a token to a share of stock, where with an NFT it's just a total new animal all out there on its own. I would be surprised if we see anybody get in any serious trouble over this. I think that there probably should be somebody getting into why can't I talk today? Stuttering. There should be some criminal charges and some things going on because this is the kind of stuff that sets the whole industry, the whole market back. These are the kind of headlines that the retail investors, the people that are new to crypto, just don't understand, that it's just kind of part of the process. The reason that we have so much opportunity in cryptocurrency and NFTs is because it's the wild, wild west, because it's so new. I'll give you an example. Back in, 1990, if you would have bought Microsoft and wrote it out through, into the 2000s, you could have turned a very small amount of money into millions of dollars. Well, now Microsoft is a huge market cap stock. It is, it's solidified. It wouldn't necessarily be a bad place to buy a few shares of stock, and you're probably going to earn some money. But the opportunity to make massive amounts of wealth is gone. And that's what people don't understand about crypto. Part of the reason that we have this opportunity is because of the unregulatedness of it. That once all the financial institutions and the SEC and everybody get together and they put out all of the rules and the market cap is several $1 trillion, we're not going to have the opportunity to make life-changing money in short amounts of time anymore. So, I mean, I would like to see some more regulation. I don't want to see a ton of regulation. I still want to be able to have my freedom. I want to have the ability to invest, unlike in the stock market where I have to be an accredited investor to be able to do so many things that are profitable. In the crypto markets, I can get in there and take responsibility for my own investments, my own money. And I like that idea. But man, I definitely see the need for stuff like this to get enough punishment doled out to where people seriously think twice about doing it again.
Absolutely. And I love one thing that you said, Brad, and I think that's important. I had some guy yell at me. I was speaking at a conference last week in Miami, and I said, it was a bunch of tax people, CPAs, stuff like that. And I said, here, listen, the deal is you're not going to get wealthy off Bitcoin anymore. That ship has sailed. You got to find these other opportunities within blockchain, within Web 3.0 for that to happen for you or for their clients, whatever it is. And there was one guy who was pissed off that I said that. He was wearing a 21 million shirt, so I know he was a maxi. But I mean, that's what's happening. Is you've missed your opportunity to create generational wealth with Bitcoin, but crypto, NFTs, metaverse stuff, that's where the opportunity lies moving forward. So I appreciate what
Absolutely.
you said there, Brad.
I will say that you still have an opportunity to create generational wealth with Bitcoin. You just have to be prepared to play the long-term game. Like if you got 10 years or 15 years and the only thing you ever bought was Bitcoin, you would probably do very, very well wealth needle wise, but you're not going to create multi-millions over the next 6 months, 2-3 years, like I think it's going to be possible with some of the altcoins and some of the NFT projects.
Absolutely. I am right there with you. All right, Seth. there's going to be, there's the indictment that happened with the OpenSea guy. Now, obviously, that's going to go to court, and there may be a judgment happens there. Now, once there is court precedent and there is a case, and they've got some things guidelines that they can go by, are we going to see more indictments like this? Is this just the beginning for this kind of regulation as far as the legal system goes within the crypto system?
Yeah, as far as it being sort of a canary in the coal mine, J-Chains, I think that there is a little bit, there's a lot to unpack here, right? Like, it could go either way. If there isn't a judgment found, if there isn't precedent set, legal precedent set in that way, then we have to wait till the next high-profile case with the next big platform, whatever it is. Could be a Coinbase, could be a Gemini, could be any of the other platforms that have their own fiat off ramps and have their own curation teams and have a much larger payroll, and then have that kind of like sort of corporate entity, right? You need to have some kind of a structure that that has something that resembles a face for legislators to go and metaphorically punch, right, with a charge like this, in order for us to see the damage really take place. So if it doesn't happen in this case, then we're kind of twiddling our thumbs. Those of us who've been in the scene for a while, or who've been covering these stories and paying attention to these large platforms for years now, we have to wait till the next high-profile case to happen and wait for whoever's involved, whether it's the FBI or the SEC or other three-letter agencies that can get something pushed all the way through to a court, right, to a trial date. We have to wait for that to happen after that point. Now, if it does result in some kind of a judgment against the named defendant, right? In this case, Nathan Chastain, then yeah, maybe we do see that there are more so-called copycat cases. The FBI feels emboldened and says, okay, now we can start saying this person is doing insider trading. We no longer have to just like try to get them on wire fraud and money laundering, right? Because that was their way in this time. In that DOJ press release, they kind of really focused on a lot of the attention on those two charges that they knew they could indict Nathan Chastain for. And they sort of said tangentially in that press release, like, oh, yeah, it's because he was doing insider trading. Most of retail is looking at it and thinking, okay, insider trading of what? JPEGs? Huh? They don't get it, is what I'm saying. They don't seem to get it the way that we get it. And the implications for DeFi, even the long-reaching implications for DeFi in a case like this, most people don't seem to understand that some of the standards used for these NFTs are technically the same standards that are used for providing liquidity on platforms like Uniswap. The tech stack is non-trivial, and the implications of this case are non-trivial. If, for example, this goes to a judgment, this may potentially open the floodgates for legislators in the future, or for lawmakers or for law enforcement, to go after entities that run decentralized exchanges but have a corporate structure to their organization. I mean that if you're providing liquidity on something that's kind of like Uniswap, but maybe it's got a commercial interest or some kind of a corporation behind it, you got that same type of NFT structure that's used to hold up your liquidity and used to hold up your balances in a locked up ledger with a token that you still control with your keys. So even though we have these like hybrid decentralization, or in some cases decentralized and name only platforms, it's going to cause a problem in the future for some of those. If this goes to a judgment, they successfully get him. So the implications, J-Chains, are far-reaching and very hard to predict. We think it's about just this platform and NFTs. We think it could just, affect some of our favorite NFT platforms. But I'm here to tell you, it goes way beyond that. DeFi as we know it could potentially really suffer if this goes the wrong way, or if these policymakers and if law enforcement agencies feel too emboldened to start going on a little witch hunt and trying to take their little bite out of everybody that's doing anything that has anything that resembles an NFT. So yes, and I'm a little worried. Not gonna lie, this one actually has me worried.
All right. Well, it's a good thing that DeFi summer was last summer then, because that was a good summer. All right, guys, let's move on to our third and final topic for today. Now, this has to do with some rumors swirling around about Apple upcoming developer conference having some NFT trading cards. Now, at the 33rd annual Worldwide Developers Conference, or WWDC, do not get it confused with WWJD, Set to commence on June 6th, tech giant Apple has unveiled plans to showcase the development of 4 new devices with the iPhone, the iPad, the Mac OS Monterey, and the new Apple Watch. Now, alongside these forums such as Mac Rumors, someone discovered that by clicking on the Memoji characters, an augmented reality mode is revealed with 3 trading card characters available to be claimed. Now, they do say that they'll have only intrinsic value, that they will not, that they will have no intrinsic value, no tradable value, but I guess we'll see when everything comes out to play. All right, Austin, you're the underdog here going into this last question. So
Okay, I can do this.
I'm excited for a big answer from you here. Now, this seems like there's a lot of speculation. Anytime you got some big tech companies like this announcing, or they're not announcing anything, the rumor is about NFTs. Big speculation. What's the likelihood that we see Apple introduce some NFT action?
Pass. No, I'm just kidding. I think that first off, if they drop these if they do these NFTs, it's gonna have no intrinsic value, as they said. But much like how Budweiser dropped NFTs, or all these corporations did NFTs, they're going to be free giveaways. It's not going to be sold for anything, because again, that falls into, are these securities, if they have value? What's the regulatory status? So if they did something like that, I feel that it would have to be 100% free. Would be the only way I could see it happening. I'll be honest with you guys, and at the risk of everybody telling me, "Wow, dude, you have a lesser quality of life because you just admitted this," I have a Droid, so I don't even know what the iPhone life is like, and it does not stop every person from telling me, "Wow, dude, you don't have an Apple, your life would be so much better." I would just love if there was an emoji, a Bitcoin and Ethereum emoji. I don't see us getting that announcement either. I think that maybe not this week or this month, but the first announcement that Apple will be making, whenever that is they have bought some ETH, or they are getting into the metaverse in some way through their headset, because we actually see them developing the hardware for things like that now. So if there's any announcement, I see it in the metaverse sector, probably very, very small at first, but we'll see.
Cool. I was going to give BJ the option to pull all your points away, but then you put some good points in there, so I gave you a few more. And I do agree with you. There's nice fist bump. All right. Anyway, Ben, next question to you. Now, again, this is all speculation based, and a lot of the higher end brands that we see stick to Ethereum. Suppose Apple does get into NFTs. Do you think that would be anything Ethereum based, or are they going to pick a different chain and blaze their own trail like they tend to do?
Well, I would say that when it comes to Apple, they like to do things slowly, methodically, and Solana may be the best blockchain for them.
I was going to say that sounds perfect.
They're paused right now. The Solana is paused, so Apple's got plenty of time to really get ahead of this and to put out their NFT on the paused blockchain. I just tweeted. I said, usually when my TV pauses on accident, it's because my bulldog rolled on the remote. Maybe that's what's going on there. Maybe Sam Bankman-Fried's got a little bulldog and he just rolls all over the blockchain and accidentally hits pause. What an embarrassment Solana is. I just gotta say it. Like, what an embarrassment that blockchain has. I thought this was the ETH killer, right? No, guys, I hate to tell everybody there is no ETH killer. That's why if Apple did it, they would be proper right to use Ethereum, because it's the best thing that we've got right now. Look, you can certainly make an argument. Cardano NFTs are doing very well. The blockchain has been pretty good so far. But in my opinion, right now, you got to go with what has the longest history. And, when you look at the future, but I tell you, they would wait until probably after the ETH merge, I would think, to maybe have some cheaper gas fees, hopefully. So, but I read, the ETH merge isn't actually even supposed to help with the gas fees. Did you know that?
No. No, I well, yes, I do know that it's not.
Yeah, I read that recently, but I think there are some intangible ways that it will actually have an effect on the gas prices, but not directly. There's no direct effect. I thought that was part of it. Is the sharding that's going to, solve a lot of the gas problems. But anyways,
what about the docking?
Look, BJ. Okay. So, I think they should use Ethereum. It is just what it is. I mean, it's the monster in the space right now. It's what most people are using, the least learning curve, using an ETH wallet. So there you go.
Great answer. One extra point, because I did see in the chat people were fired up for the third round microphone grab. So said, look out. That's a third round mic grab. So there we go. Extra point for you. All right, Brad. While both seem to be a little reluctant, excuse me, to jump into crypto, do you think Apple will beat Microsoft into the Web3 space?
Yes, I do think it will beat Microsoft. And one of the things that I love about Apple is that they have stayed pretty innovative over the years. If you go all the way back to when they created the the iPod, and then the iPhone, about if you don't stay cutting, it'll get left behind. So, companies like Blockbuster Video that used to be on every corner in the United States that went out of business because they didn't see Netflix coming. I don't believe that Apple is going to be in that type of a category. I think that Apple is going to stay out in front. They've got the funds to do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it. And I think that they are going to definitely jump into this metaverse, NFT, cryptocurrency space full force. I have no doubt that in the background right now, they've got, dozens and dozens and maybe even hundreds of people that are working on this, putting the infrastructure together. And they just, they're just very quiet about it. They're smart. They're keeping it close to their chest, like in poker, we say, you keep your cards hidden, you're not showing your hand too soon. And yeah, I think that Apple has an amazing future in this space and is going to do a lot of good eventually for the mass adoption of cryptocurrency. And real quick, before I give it back to you, I just want to say thank you both, to you, Justin and Ben, for having me on the channel again. And I want to tell everybody that's watching this channel, BitBoy Crypto gets a lot of hate, but it's because he's the number one guy in the space. And he worked hard. He deserves it. He put the time in way back in 2018 when nobody was putting the time in. He grinded it out. And I also want to give a big shout out to Altcoin Daily and Mind Your Biz. I've been checking out your guys' YouTube channel since I met you, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing for the crypto space. Right now, folks, it's a tough time out there and people are hurting. And folks like these, BitBoy and Altcoin Daily and Mind Your Biz, they're here to help you navigate through this miserableness and come out the other side with the financial freedom that you want. So go like their channels, go check them out. And just, once again, thank you so much for having me here. It's always an honor.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely.
Very well spoken. Enjoyed chatting with you today. Thanks for being on. All right, Seth, let's mind your biz. Last question for you. See what you can do today. All right. How far out do you put us having Web3 built into the OS of not just Apple, but Microsoft and Android as well?
Okay, so you're asking for a general technologist, futurist question here. Let me jump back real quick, answer the question that you didn't ask, but that is really, really important. Microsoft already beat Apple into blockchain with the number of people's wallets that have been hacked on Windows. They've already transferred millions of dollars worth of crypto. So Microsoft already beat Apple. I just want you to know that in terms of TVL, or total value lost, on their operating system. So Microsoft for the win there. But as far as like Apple properly getting integration done, like say the way Brave browser has a wallet built into it, an Opera browser apparently now has a crypto wallet built into it, like sort of Web3 marrying Web 2. J-Chains, I don't know that we're ever going to see it, and I don't know that they're going to make it a priority. Apple is known. They've got a long, rich history of one thing and one thing only. I can summarize it in 3 letters. You guys ready? DRM. They're interested in locking down rights management. They're interested in locking down privileges. They're interested in licensing things from the traditional intellectual property owners. They're not interested in opening anything or using open source technologies and giving proper attribution. Case in point, 10-finger touch on their user interfaces that you saw on the iPads. That was open source a few years before. The kernel for Mac OS on your laptop or on your Mac Mini or whatever, that comes from a project called BSD, right? That comes out of an educational license for an open source desktop operating system. It's got more in common with Linux actually, or with server software, than it does with Microsoft Windows. And then the list just keeps on going on and on. When you go beyond their Darwin kernel and their user interface, getting kind of nerdy there. My point is, Apple is not your friend. If you think you're into open source, and if you're into cryptocurrencies, you are into open source. Apple is not your friend, and they have zero financial interest in making Web3 or cryptocurrencies a feature of their products. They're a lot like the central bankers, but of technological progress. They're used to being in charge. They're used to getting paid very, very well for trickling out the most milquetoast dog food features that they can possibly get you to pay for. So Altcoin Daily, I think it's great you're using an Android. I don't think you should ever upgrade to an iPhone because it's not an upgrade. They're just gatekeepers, right? They're gatekeepers of technology and features. And they have no interest in helping you live your best Web3 or your cryptocurrency life, which is why they haven't, to date, publicly announced doing anything for cryptocurrency, and why anybody who believes erroneously that these, Animoji, new Memoji things are going to somehow be related in a meaningful way to blockchain, I'm going to burst your bubble right now. This is my prediction. It will have nothing to do with any popular blockchain, not Ethereum, not Solana, not any of them, because Apple is so used to having full control. So if they do wind up having any kind of a bridge, it'll likely be built by a third party in the same way that you have to, you still have to download MetaMask using the iTunes store to get blockchain to do anything meaningful on your iPhone today. It's going to be a similar experience. I mean, why would they do it when third parties are already doing it? And why would they let anybody trade permissionlessly when in stores like iTunes, they've been charging 30% plus to every creator that's ever posted anything there? They just won't. Full stop. Apple is not your friend. I don't see it ever happening unless there's a radical, existential threat applied to Apple, or there's some kind of, in some crazy, parallel universe, the federal government says, hey, as part of an antitrust investigation or suit, we're going to force you to be involved in blockchain. I don't see it happening any other way. J-Chains.
All right. Well, you heard that here. Apple is not your friend, but I can tell you one thing. Seth, Brad, Austin, Ben, you guys are my friends. You are friends of the community here that is crypto. Appreciate you guys being on the show today. Seth, you did score. Ben, I tried to give you the win today so bad because I never let Ben.
He just wouldn't stop talking.
I know. I was like, agreed. Anyway, so that means mind your biz.
Brad, thank you so much for your kind words. That's what I was going to end my statement with. Thank you for your kind words. We appreciate it. Now, Seth, take your time. He wins
so here's
every
my typical
time.
Sign off then. And my typical sign off, guys, thanks for having me. If you're not following everybody on the panel, obviously you saw why you should be. Everybody brings their own unique flavor. Everybody drops unique alpha, like Brad was saying, especially when the market is down. Appreciate you guys having me back on the show, and it is my pleasure, my privilege, and my honor to be here with you. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Thank you for watching Around the Blockchain tonight. We will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. Also, don't forget to check out Frankie Candles. He's going live pretty soon. So hop on over, check him out, and we will see y'all tomorrow.
Awesome.